guys, welcome back to Betrayal of the Body. Nikita here, and today we're going to talk about endometriosis.
I always feel like giving up, feeling tired of love. Let me tell you that I've had enough. I wish that I could sleep at night, close my eyes and feel alright. But my conscience, it has never played tonight. I don't know if I'm feeling right. They try to tell me it was in my mind. Been sleeping for days on end. I'm getting told to get out of my bed and move forward.
So, endometriosis is basically the lining of, I could be wrong, but this is how it was explained to me. Endometriosis is basically the lining of the uterus starts growing and developing outside of the uterus, attaching itself to surrounding organs, muscle tissue, fat, pelvic cavity, anything it can. Kind of like cancer, but not cancer. So my diagnosis with endometriosis is probably a little different than most people's. I was battling uterine cancer. In 2009, they removed my uterus. A few months after that, I noticed that I was having a significant pain, and I pushed for further testing. They found a mass on my fallopian tubes, so they went back in January of 2010 to remove my fallopian tubes. While they were in there removing my fallopian tubes, they discovered that I had endometriosis. While they were in there, they took out as much endometriosis as they could without damaging any of the organs, and said that they couldn't get the rest of it because it would be too dangerous. When I got out of surgery, they informed me that they had found endometriosis tissue and that they removed as much as they could, but they couldn't get all of it. And they said that the only treatment that would be available to me was chemotherapy. And I was really upset by this because I had refused chemo for my cancer battle. I really did not want to go through that. And she explained to me that if I didn't have the chemotherapy, that the pain would just continue to get worse and worse and worse until I was disabled, and that this chemo would cure it. And that if I just went through with the chemo, that I would be cured and I wouldn't have any more endometriosis problems. She was wrong. Not only was she wrong about the chemo curing the endometriosis, she failed to mention that the chemotherapy would disable me itself. So I went through 7 months of a 9-month treatment of Zoladex. Zoladex is very similar to Lupron, which seems to be more well known, but basically, it's chemotherapy that forces you through menopause, and it was very hellish. I would get an injection in my stomach once a month, in the fatty tissue of my stomach, and then the next month they would go in the other side. And the first week of the injection, I would be unable to move. I could not even get out of bed, not even to go to the bathroom. I was having accidents. I was throwing up next to my bed. It was complete hell. On top of all the menopause symptoms that were worse than normal natural menopause because it was chemically induced. It was it hit me like a freight train. I would have, and they failed to mention cold flashes. So I was going from hot to cold, hot to cold, hot to cold, hot to cold. I would go outside. I live in the desert. I'd go outside in 120-degree heat and I'd still be shivering. And so yeah, it was really, really difficult. And I was a single mom. I was only 24 at the time. And but I made it through 7 months before I finally said, I can't do this anymore. I just can't do this anymore. A few months in, we discovered that when they removed the endometriosis tissue and the fallopian tubes, they accidentally cut my left ureter, which connects my kidney to my bladder. Ended up causing lots of problems there. My kidney ruptured. I had an external kidney for a while. Then I started having seizures that to this day they haven't been able to diagnose. Now my doctors kind of don't like me using the word seizures because they're not epilepsy, but I don't know what else to call them. You could call them syncope if you'd like, but undiagnosed syncope. And so that was pretty much what it was like going through chemo. So let's make this clear. Endometriosis does not have a cure. And treatments like Lupron, Zoladex, and Orlisa are not only extremely harmful, they leave lasting, permanent side effects, and they do not cure endometriosis. If they relieve you of your symptoms, it's only temporary. The only real treatment for endometriosis is excision, is cutting the endometriosis out. And now sometimes it can attach itself to organs that it cannot be removed from. And you just have to deal with that. But there are specialists out there that can remove most of it. And you can have repetitive surgeries, every few years to get more and more tissue taken out as it grows and symptoms come back. But that's really the only treatment for it. That and painkillers. Now it's hard for me to say what my symptoms were prior to diagnosis because I also had uterine cancer, and so I don't really know what symptoms were caused by the uterine cancer and what symptoms were caused by endometriosis. But I do know that I had severely heavy periods my whole life. As soon as I started having periods, they were very heavy. They lasted a long time. I was usually on my period for a week or two, where all my friends were only on their periods for like 3 or 4 days. And they were very painful. A lot of times I'd have to miss school, at least at the beginning of my period. I had a lot of abdominal pain that most people dismissed or told me was normal, that I was just being dramatic about monthly cramps. But it was very severe abdominal pain. I remember the night before I started my very first period, I ended up going to the doctor. I thought I was dying. I did not know what was wrong with me. I was in so much pain. And they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, and they sent me home, and the next morning I woke up covered in blood. So, but endometriosis can cause heavy, irregular periods. It can cause hemorrhaging. It can cause infertility. It can cause ovarian cysts, which I get a lot of ovarian cysts, even since my hysterectomy, because I still have my ovaries. I rupture a cyst probably every 2 or 3 months. And I have, it causes bloating, it can cause, and then it can cause issues with your other organs and their function if the endometriosis tissue is attached to other organs, or like it can cut off your bowel, it can cause bladder dysfunction, it can cause GI issues, it can cause migraines, it can cause all kinds of other problems besides just female problems. Now that I am without a uterus, I have very, very severe abdominal pain, so badly I cannot lay flat or stand up straight without my pelvic feeling like it's being ripped in two. I have pretty significant pain during intercourse. It's even painful for me just to get a pap smear. And my doctor, I've seen so many gynecologists over the last few years trying to get someone to help me with this. And they think that because I've had a hysterectomy that I'm cured, that endometriosis isn't a problem anymore. And they don't even want to explore what is causing my pain. They tell me to just deal with it. they tell me it's scar tissue from the surgeries, and that that there's nothing they can do. I finally got a gynecologist to refer me to a specialist, an endometriosis specialist, and I will be seeing them in the next couple of weeks. I was really turned off because my gynecologist like immediately was like, "Have you ever tried Zoladex?" And I was like, "I'm not doing that again. Like, that is not a proper treatment for endometriosis, and it destroyed me last time." And she's like, "Well, they're not going to do anything else for you." And I was like, "What about surgery?" And she said that that they don't like doing surgery unless it's severe. And it's like, "Well, this is severe." And she's like, "Well, that's your opinion." It's very, very hard to get doctors to take this seriously and to treat it for what it is, which is a disabling condition that causes severe pain. And so I'm setting up the appointment with with the specialist that's supposed to be helping me with this. And I mean, I'm under pain management for all of my conditions, so I don't need pain management from them. But I was turned off by just setting up the appointment. They were like, "Just so you know, we're not going to give you anything for pain." And it's like, that's upsetting to me, because not that I want it from them, but what about the other patients who don't have pain management set up, that don't have pain management from another source? You know this condition causes severe pain, and you're not going to offer anything to help your patients with the pain that they're in? Like, it's ridiculous. It's neglectful. But that's, I guess, the world we live in nowadays, where people are taught to just put up with the pain and to accept that this is the way things are. To accept that, as young as I am, that I'll never have enjoyable sex again, that I'll never have another orgasm, that I will never be able to lay flat or stand up straight again without excruciating pain. I'm just supposed to accept that. And endometriosis isn't rare. It affects 1 in 10 women. And most are not taken seriously. So if you feel like you're experiencing some of these symptoms, if you feel something isn't right, stand up for yourself. Do some research. And if your doctor dismisses your concerns, find another doctor. Keep fighting until someone takes you seriously and gets to the bottom of what is causing your symptoms. Don't just live with it. Don't just accept it. I'm not accepting it. If this new specialist refuses to do excision surgery to get rid of this scar tissue or adhesions or endometriosis tissue, whatever is causing my pain, if he refuses to address it, I will find another one. And if they refuse, I will find another one. I will keep fighting until someone helps me with this. And you should too. March is Endometriosis Awareness Month, which is why I'm posting this. March 30th is the Endo March, and I want to raise awareness because this has affected my life severely. Please like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching.